And here we go again. Let's talk about murder. By any other name, murder is murder. There can be no excuse for first-degree murder. What is murder? That's the orchestrated and intentional taking of life. Now, when somebody breaks into your home or threatens to kill you or others, killing that person is not murder, that is defense. That's about the only time you're justified in killing anybody is in defense of the innocent or the righteous. Now, let me tell you a story. And this is a story about a man named Henry. Henry was fast asleep when they broke into his home. 4 men dragged him out of his bed, kicking the hell out of him, wrestling him to the ground. But Henry fought like a lion. He drove these would-be assassins out of the house. He had no idea, still fighting through the sudden awakening, the grogginess when you are knocked out of a great sleep. He didn't realize this was going to trigger an even angrier response. Sure enough, about 2 minutes later, 8 men ran into his house, beat him senseless, dragged him back out of bed, bound his ankles and wrists, hog-tied him, dragged him outside. His pleas for help were met with more kicks, curses, and one of his assailants even dropped his drawers and pissed on him. It didn't look good for Henry, who was now completely defenseless. Bound and gagged, his attackers dragged him over rough ground, over a considerable distance, well over 100 feet. Then they stood him up, just dragged him to his feet, and unceremoniously threw him through an open door. He's in the other room. He opened his eyes to the super brightly lit room. It's one he'd never seen before. His attackers manhandled him, putting him on top of a table, punching him to get him to succumb, strapping him down. His struggles and his cries only brought more physical abuse, more curses from his assailants as they removed his chains and strapped him down to the table. Henry was in the death chamber of state prison. It was here that he would meet his fate, murdered by lethal injection. As a medical technician struggled, this incompetent little bastard, to find a suitable vein on Henry, he just kept stabbing him in the arm. Here, nope, didn't work. There, nope, didn't. Stabbed and stabbed and stabbed 18 times until he found a suitable vein through which to pump poison into Henry's body. Well, let's go on. He stabbed that large needle into the vein and taped the tubing down onto Henry's forearm. Well, the rest of this is by design. Plain and simple, planned design. As the poison coursed through his veins, he screamed, he retched, he cried out, "It hurts! Good God, it hurts!" His wails and screams of excruciating pain echoed across the walls of the death chamber and onto the ears of those witnessing his death. Yeah, there's a little cadre of comfortably seated people on the other side of a glass window watching the whole thing. Those witnesses watched as Henry writhed. He writhed and twisted in such uncontrollable contortions that he dislocated his shoulder. The straps cut into his legs and arms, and he pulled so hard that blood began to flow from the wounds. His pain was so great, his physical response so extreme as to rip flesh and dislocate joints. With blood, uncontrollable writhing, screams, sweat, and torturous pain, Henry finally sounded the death rattle and left this world behind him. Now, what you've just heard is a play-by-play of a typical execution in America. Touting themselves as a model of humanity to the world, America does this. They torture, they murder. It's not execution, it's murder. Let me define this in simple terms. Whenever anyone is so defenseless as to pose no hazard at all to anyone, then there's no justification for taking his life. He can't hurt anybody. He's probably locked in a 6x6 cement cell and chained to a ring in the middle of the floor. He's the very model of defenselessness. When anyone chains up an already defenseless man, abuses him physically and mentally, straps him to a table, pumps him full of poison, hey baby, that is murder. Anytime, even if by government decree, taking the life of a defenseless human being is murder. It is first-degree murder. Okay, come on. It's the jury. It's the judge, the prosecuting attorney, the prison ward, the prison guard, medical technicians, any and all people complicit in this action they're the ones that need to be in prison. Understand, these folks are guilty of complicity in murder. It's as if they pulled the switch themselves, and they're going to have to answer to their God when the day comes. And baby, it is coming. Now, I'm not standing up for a capital criminal, but I am standing up to anyone's proclaimed right to repeat his crime under cover and color of authority, of judicial authority, of government authority. Yes, we have laws that allow us to murder as long as it's by decree of the state or the federal government. We also have laws that mandate that some people committing the same crimes are simply incarcerated. Now, you tell me what's wrong here. The conflict of morals and laws is unacceptably glaring. It's glaring. It's unbelievable. Now, there are effective deterrents and punishments that would replace this ritual murder that we call execution. Do you understand? There are effective deterrents and punishments for those who take innocent life. None of these punishments involves murder for murder. There's no authority based on the Jewish interpretation of an eye for an eye. That is not a Christian principle. That was completely wiped out when Jesus Christ came down here. So what are you going to do with these offenders? People who take innocent lives, since you can't repeat their crime? Two wrongs don't make a right. Life in prison without libraries, televisions, exercise yards, or all the many privileges they enjoy, give them a bare-bones existence and put them to work doing the hard labor, the difficult labor, the dangerous labor where you don't want free men involved. That's just an idea. Summary, murder is wrong no matter who does it, no matter what form it takes, no matter what governmental authority says it's okay. Murder is murder and murder is wrong. I'm Max, and that's the way I see it.